Picture this. You're driving a big rig all alone in the middle of the night. The road goes on forever, swallowed by darkness. Your radio buzzes with static, and the only sound is your truck's engine, but you feel like something's watching you. Welcome to 10 Disturbing True Trucker Horror Stories, a collection of real, scary stories from truckers who've seen things on America's loneliest roads. These aren't made-up tales or ghost stories. These are real experiences from people who've faced the unknown and barely escaped. Grab a snack, lock your doors, and don't check your mirrors. If you're new here, get ready. This channel is all about real horror that sticks with you. Today, we're diving into the world of truckers, the tough folks who drive our roads and sometimes see things that would make anyone scream. From ghostly passengers to creepy creatures in the dark, these stories will make you think twice about driving at night. Before we start, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell. You'll want to know when the next spooky video drops. Let's hit the road with our first story. Story 1, The Hitchhiker Who Vanished. Our first story is about a trucker named Carl, a guy who's been driving for 20 years. Back in 2017, Carl was hauling veggies across Nevada on I-80, a super quiet road surrounded by desert. It was around 2 a.m., and he hadn't seen another car for hours. That's when he spotted her, a young woman standing by the road, holding out her thumb, wearing a white dress that looked weird for the cold desert night. Carl wasn't big on picking up strangers. Too many scary stories, you know? But this woman seemed different. She looked young, maybe 20, and her eyes seemed to beg for help, even though he couldn't see her face clearly. Against his better judgment, he pulled over. He opened the passenger door and shouted, "Hey, you okay? Need a lift?" No answer, just dead silence. He leaned over to look closer, and poof, she was gone. No footsteps, no sign of her, just an empty road. Carl thought he was just tired. Long drives can mess with your brain, right? He shook it off, turned up his music, and kept going. But 10 miles later, his CB radio started acting up. It crackled even though no one was on the channel, and a quiet, whispery voice came through. "Why didn't you save me?" Carl's heart stopped. He checked the radio. Nothing. Then, out of nowhere, he saw movement in the passenger seat. He turned, and there she was, the woman from the road, sitting right next to him, her head tilted weirdly, like her neck was broken. Carl hit the brakes so hard his truck almost flipped. The woman was gone, but the air in the cab felt heavy, like someone was still there. He didn't sleep for the rest of the trip. When he got to a truck stop, he asked other drivers about the woman in the white dress. An older guy at the diner gave him a serious look and said, "You saw her, huh? She's been on that road for years. They say she was a runaway, hit by a car in the 70s. She's still looking for a ride. Or maybe revenge." Carl never drove that part of I-80 again. He says sometimes when he's driving late, he hears that voice on his radio asking why he didn't help. That's the kind of story that makes your skin crawl. But hold on, because the next one's even creepier. Man, that hitchhiker's story is wild. Can you imagine seeing someone like that in your truck? If you're freaked out already, just wait. Our next story's gonna keep you up all night. Let's roll. Story 2, The Ghostly Truck Convoy. Next, we're heading to the Smoky Mountains, where a trucker named Maria had a terrifying experience. It was 2019, and Maria was driving a load of furniture from Knoxville to Asheville. It was a stormy night, with rain so heavy she could barely see the road. Around midnight, she noticed headlights behind her, a whole bunch of them, like a line of trucks following her. Maria wasn't worried at first. Sometimes truckers stick together in bad weather, right? But these trucks were different. They were way too close, and their headlights had a strange, blue glow, like nothing she'd ever seen. She tried to talk to them on her CB radio, but all she got was static, and then a weird, low hum, like people chanting in the distance. Maria's stomach dropped. Something was wrong. She sped up, pushing her truck as fast as it could go, but the other trucks kept up, their headlights never leaving her mirrors. She glanced back and saw something that made her scream. The truck, right behind her, had no driver. The cab was empty, but the steering wheel was moving by itself. And then, one by one, the trucks started to fade away. Not turn off the road, but melt into the fog like ghosts. When Maria finally reached a rest stop, she was shaking so bad she could barely hold her coffee. She told another driver what happened, and he just nodded, like he'd heard it before. He said, "You saw the ghost convoy. Old truckers say it's the spirits of drivers who died on that road. Crashes, storms, you name it. They drive forever looking for someone to join them." Maria quit driving a month later. She couldn't shake the feeling that those trucks were still out there, waiting. That story gives me goosebumps every time I think about it. Imagine being chased by ghost trucks. If you're loving this, drop a like, and let's keep going. The next story is going to creep you out even more. The Ghost Convoy is the stuff of nightmares. We're only on story 2, and things are already super spooky. If you're still with me, you're brave. Let's jump into story 3. Story 3, The Monster in the Trailer. Now we're talking about a trucker named Jamal, who had a terrifying experience in Wyoming in 2020. Jamal was hauling a locked trailer, and the paperwork was super weird. Just one line, "Fragile stuff. Don't open." He didn't think much of it at first, but then he started hearing noises from the trailer. Banging, scratching, like something was moving around back there. At first, Jamal thought maybe the load was shifting, boxes sliding around. But the sounds got worse, like something was slamming into the walls. He pulled over at a weigh station to check, but the trailer was locked tight with heavy-duty locks, and he didn't have the key. That's when he heard it, a deep, growly voice, not human at all, saying, "Let me out." Jamal was freaking out, but he had to deliver the load. He kept driving, trying to ignore the banging that came every few minutes. At one point, he swore he saw the trailer doors bend outward, like something massive was pushing against them. He called his boss, who just told him to stop asking questions and drop it off. When he finally got to the delivery spot, a creepy warehouse in the middle of nowhere, he was a mess. The workers there took the trailer without saying a word, but Jamal noticed their eyes. They were too big, too dark, like they weren't human. Jamal never found out what was in that trailer, but he quit the job the next day. He heard rumors from other drivers about that warehouse, talk of special cargo that wasn't on any paperwork. Some said it was secret tech. Others said it was something alive and dangerous. Jamal says he still hears that growly voice in his dreams, begging to be let out. That's the kind of story that makes you wonder what's really being hauled on our roads. If you're creeped out, you're not alone. Let's keep going with story 4. Okay, That trailer story is straight up terrifying. What do you think was in there? Let me know in the comments. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button. We're diving into Story 4 next. Story 4: The Eyes in the Corn. Our fourth story is about a trucker named Sarah who was driving through Iowa in 2018. Sarah was hauling grain on a small country road with cornfields everywhere. It was just after sunset, and the sky was a creepy purple color. That's when she saw them, tons of glowing eyes in the corn, staring right at her truck. Sarah thought they were just animals, maybe deer or raccoons. But these eyes were weird. They didn't move like animals. They just stared, following her truck as she drove. She tried to focus on the road, but the eyes kept getting closer, like they were chasing her. Then she heard it. A creepy laugh, but it sounded wrong, like it came from lots of voices at once. Sarah sped up, her heart racing. The eyes kept following, moving through the corn like they were playing with her. She finally reached a gas station and stopped, but when she looked back, the cornfield was quiet, too quiet. No eyes, no noise, just a heavy silence. The guy at the gas station didn't seem shocked when she told him. He just said, "You're lucky. Most people who see the Watchers don't get away." He wouldn't explain, but Sarah noticed he kept a loaded shotgun behind the counter. Sarah never drove that road again. She says the scariest part wasn't the eyes. It was the feeling that whatever was out there knew her, like it had been waiting just for her. Locals call them the Watchers, and some say they're tied to creepy old rituals in the area. Sarah's just glad she didn't stop to find out what they wanted. The Watchers are the kind of thing that makes you hate driving through cornfields. We're almost halfway done, and things are about to get even spookier. Man, those eyes in the corn are creepy. If you're still watching, drop a like and tell me in the comments if you'd keep driving or pull over. Let's jump into Story 5. Story 5: The Radio That Knew the Future. Next up, we've got a story from a trucker named Eddie, who was driving through New Mexico in 2016. Eddie loved night drives, and his CB radio was his best friend, always buzzing with other drivers' chatter. But one night, on a lonely part of Route 66, his radio started acting really weird. Eddie thought someone was pranking him, maybe another driver having fun. But the voice kept talking, describing crashes in scary detail, exact mile markers, truck colors, even drivers' names. The weirdest part? These crashes hadn't happened yet. Eddie drove past mile marker 47 and saw a red truck parked on the side, its driver chilling with a cigarette. He tried to warn the guy on the radio, but the driver just laughed. An hour later, Eddie heard on the news a red truck crashed at mile marker 47. No one survived. For 3 nights, the radio kept predicting crashes, always right, always deadly. Eddie tried turning it off, but the voice came through anyway, even when the radio was unplugged. On the 4th night, the voice said something new. Mile marker 82, blue truck, Eddie. That was his truck, his name. Eddie stopped driving, parked at a diner, and refused to go near mile marker 82. The next day, he heard about a huge crash at that exact spot. A blue truck, just like his, was destroyed. Eddie sold his truck and got a desk job after that. He never figured out where the voice came from, but some drivers talk about a cursed radio channel that only works on certain nights. They say it's the road itself, talking to drivers, or maybe picking who's next. That radio story is wild. Imagine hearing your own crash predicted. We're halfway through, And the stories are getting crazier. Okay, that one's intense. What would you do if your radio started talking like that? Let me know in the comments, and if you're hooked, hit subscribe. Let's dive into Story 6. Story 6. The truck stop that wasn't real. Our sixth story is about a trucker named Lisa who was driving through Oklahoma in 2014. Lisa was low on gas and super tired when she saw a truck stop off I-44, its neon sign glowing bright. The place looked old, like it was stuck in the 50s, but it was open, so she pulled in. Right away, something felt wrong. The diner was way too quiet. The waitress, a lady with a creepy smile, took Lisa's order without talking much. The other customers, truckers it seemed, sat perfectly still, staring at their plates. Lisa noticed their food wasn't touched, and their eyes didn't blink. She tried to chat, but the waitress just kept saying, "Stay here." When Lisa went to the bathroom, she saw something freaky in the mirror. Her reflection was smiling even though she wasn't. Lisa ran out of there fast. She didn't care about her food or gas. She just wanted to leave. As she drove away, she looked in her rearview mirror and saw the truck stop, disappear. No lights, no buildings, just an empty field. She checked her GPS later, and there was no truck stop at that exit. She asked other drivers, and one old guy said, "You found the lost stop. It shows up when you're tired or lost. Some people go in and never come out." Lisa still drives, but she stays away from I-44 at night. She says the scariest part was feeling like the truck stop wanted her to stay, like it was alive. That's the kind of story that makes you rethink stopping at weird places. The lost stop is so creepy. We're deep into this now, and the next story's gonna be wild. If you're still watching, you're awesome. Man, a truck stop that vanishes? That's next level spooky. Drop a comment with your thoughts, and let's roll into Story 7. Story 7. The passenger who knew everything next. We've got a story from a trucker named Tom who was hauling wood through Oregon in 2015. Tom wasn't supposed to pick up passengers, but one rainy night, he saw a guy standing in the road, soaked and shivering. The man looked normal, maybe 30, wearing a hoodie, so Tom let him in, planning to drop him off at the next town. The guy was quiet at first, just looking out the window. Then he started talking, normal stuff, like the rain or the road. But then he got creepy. He knew things about Tom, his full name, where he was born, even the name of his first girlfriend. Tom laughed, thinking it was a weird coincidence, but the guy kept going. He knew Tom's exact route, every stop, and then he said something that made Tom freeze. "You shouldn't have taken that shortcut last week. They're still looking for you." Tom hadn't told anyone about the shortcut, a back road he took to save time, where he accidentally bumped a car and drove off. He was scared, but tried to stay calm. He asked the guy who he was, but the man just smiled and said, "I'm the one who knows." Then, out of nowhere, he opened the door and stepped out, while the truck was going 60 miles an hour. Tom hit the brakes, but when he looked back, the road was empty. No body, no tracks, nothing. Tom never picked up another passenger. He says the man's voice still echoes in his head, especially in that forest. Some drivers talk about a figure who shows up to people with secrets, like a ghost who judges you. Tom's just glad he got away. Or did he? That story's a reminder. The road knows your secrets. We're getting into super creepy territory now. Let's keep going with Story 8. The passenger who knew everything? That's so freaky. If you're still here, you're a champ. Let's dive into Story 8. Story 8, The Creature on the Truck. Our eighth story is about a trucker named Diego who was driving through Arizona in 2019. Diego was hauling car parts on Highway 191, a lonely road locals call the Devil's Highway. It was just after sunset when something slammed onto his truck's hood with a bang that shook everything. Diego thought he hit an animal, maybe a big dog or deer. But this was no animal. The thing was massive, like 7 feet tall, with skin like dry leather and eyes that glowed like fire. It crouched on the hood, staring at Diego, its mouth opening to show sharp, pointy teeth. Diego sped up, trying to shake it off, but the creature held on, its claws digging into the metal like it was nothing. Diego was screaming, praying anything to stay calm. He swerved hard, and the creature finally fell off, rolling into a ditch. But when he checked his mirrors, it was running after him, keeping up with the truck at 70 miles an hour. It only stopped when Diego reached a gas station, where the lights seemed to scare it away. The guy at the station saw the claw marks and said, "You met the skinwalker. You're lucky it didn't follow you." Diego fixed the claw marks, but he says they kept coming back, like the creature marked his truck. He doesn't drive Highway 191 anymore, and he carries a special charm from his grandma just in case. Locals say the skinwalker is a shapeshifter that hunts people who cross its path. Diego's just happy he didn't end up as its dinner. A creature on your truck? That's the stuff of nightmares. We're almost done, but the last two stories are going to be intense. The Skinwalker story is so wild. We're down to the last two, and they're going to hit hard. If you're still watching, you're a legend. Let's go to Story 9. Story 9, The Town That Didn't Exist. Our ninth story is about a trucker named Rachel who was driving through Nebraska in 2013. Rachel was hauling medical supplies when her GPS sent her off the highway into a small town called Haven. The place looked stuck in time. Old diners, gas stations with ancient pumps, and no people anywhere. Rachel thought it was just an empty town, but it felt alive somehow. Rachel's GPS kept messing up, sending her back to the town's main street, no matter where she turned. She stopped at a diner to ask for directions, and that's when things got super creepy. The people inside looked like they were from the 1950s. Big dresses, slick hair, all that. They smiled at her, but their smiles were too big, too fake. An old guy gave her a map and said, "You can't leave Haven. Nobody does." Rachel ran back to her truck, her heart pounding. The town seemed to close in, buildings moving, streets getting narrower. She sped off, ignoring her GPS, and somehow found the highway again. When she looked back, Haven was gone, just an empty field. She checked her maps later, and there was no town called Haven. But the creepiest part? The map the old guy gave her was still in her truck, and it was blank. Rachel doesn't talk about Haven much, but she keeps that map locked away, scared to throw it out. Some say Haven is a trap that catches lost drivers and keeps them forever. Rachel's just glad she got out. Or did she? Haven's the kind of place you never want to find. We're down to our last story, and it's a big one. A town that vanishes? That's so creepy. We're at our final story, and it's gonna blow your mind. If you've made it this far, you're a horror superstar. Let's finish strong. Story 10, The Truck That Never Stops. Our last story is about a trucker named Mike who was driving through Montana in 2021. Mike was on I-90, fighting a huge snowstorm when he saw a black semi ahead of him. It was going way too fast for the snow, and its trailer had no logos or license plates. Mike thought it was just a reckless driver, but then he noticed something weird. The truck never slowed down or stopped, not even at rest stops or way stations. Mike followed the truck for hours, unable to pass it. Every time he got close, his radio screamed with static and his dashboard lights flickered. He tried to talk to the driver on the CB, but all he heard was one word, over and over: follow. The voice wasn't human. It was deep, like 100 voices mixed together. Mike wanted to stop, but he couldn't. It was like the truck was pulling him along, forcing him to keep going. After hours, the black semi turned onto a dirt road that wasn't on any map. Mike snapped out of it and stopped, refusing to follow. But when he checked his mirrors, the black semi was behind him now, its red headlights filling his cab. He sped off, driving until morning, and the truck finally disappeared. He told other drivers, and one old guy said, "You saw the black rig. It's been on these roads since the 40s, driven by something not human. It picks a driver and never lets go." Mike still drives, but he avoids I-90 in winter. He says sometimes, in bad storms, he sees red headlights in his mirrors, and his radio whispers, "Follow." The black rig is still out there, looking for its next driver. Could it find you? And that's it. 10 disturbing true. Trucker, horror stories that show the road can be a scary place. From ghostly hitchhikers to monster trucks, these stories prove there's more to driving than meets the eye. Which one freaked you out the most? Drop it in the comments and tell me if you want more trucker horror. If you loved this, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next spooky video. Big thanks to our channel members. You guys keep these stories coming. If you want cool extras and early videos, check out the join button below. One last thing. Next time you're driving at night, watch your mirrors. You never know what's out there. Stay safe, and I'll see you on the road.